Hey guys, it's your man B, and today I will do a look back on the year 2012. First of all, I have to admit, it was way better than 2011. At least for me it was. 2012 knocked 2011 out of the water on many levels. To start off, I finally got back into school after the infamous 2011 incident, and of course most of you remember what happened. And I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But most importantly, I registered for the final math class I was required to take. I had a very good teacher, Mr. Joe Shive, who explained the material very well, even though he was somewhat of an oddball. But it's not a problem. I was able to pick up the required textbook after just 2 weeks in the class, finally got through it, and eventually graduated just 5 days after my 25th birthday. I'm telling you, that had to be the best birthday gift ever. Me graduating less than a week after my quarter-century birthday. And I have to thank all of the thoughtful people from Harold Washington College for making it possible. I didn't experience any major negative events this year either. Granted, there were a few minor ones though. The bad news is, I attended a funeral back in February. The good news is, it was the only funeral I went to this year. This guy I know from my church who we call Uncle Mike, and I'm connected to him through my great aunt. His 62-year-old wife Pamela had died. Pretty sad because I didn't feel it was her time to go. It's the exact same feelings I had when my grandmother died 6 years before. Another personal negativity was when my hard drive seemed to have died on me back in March, but it was only the enclosure, which became defective. I went up to Naperville with my dad to get it fixed. The hard drive itself worked just fine, but the technician confirmed it was only the enclosure that was mucked up. So my dad had it replaced once, didn't work, replaced it a second time. It worked to an extent, because it still kept having seizures and shit. So my dad gave me another one of his hard drives, which I still have now, 9 months later. Another negative event involved a girl I knew from my high school who worked as a registrar some years back. We spoke on Facebook for a while in my attempts of dating her. Basically, she played me for a goddamn fool most of the time by hiding the fact she was seeing another man since the previous August, after over a year of trying to date her. Now how do I know this? She ultimately fucked me over on April 13th, and after the fact, I just ditched her ass. By now, I made a personal declaration that I was not going to try to hit on any other women because it was too much trouble. But regardless, I've moved on and forgot about her sneaky, slimy, lying ass. Oh, and by the way, her name was Latoya, but I will not reveal her last name, just for personal reasons. Plus, another thing, in my 2011 video, she was the one who I said was carjacked at the beach. Looking back on that, I think she deserved it after the sneaky tricks she pulled on me. I'm going to move on from that tragedy. The biggest highlight aside from my graduation was, get ready, New Orleans! My brother and I had spent 3 weeks from July the 23rd to August 11th down there in order to escape the persistent and never-dying boredom of staying at home. Our house was pretty much vacated the whole time we were gone. In a nutshell, I visited loads of distant kin, some I never knew I had, slurped some daiquiris, played some dominoes, ate some Sonic, attended a couple of cookouts, one being done in tandem with the birthday party at a forest reserve, the other being at a cousin's house, drove a car, believe it or not, toured the downtown NOLA area a few times, went to a casino with some people which was boring as shit, got our haircuts, stayed at a friend's house, ate tacos, watched movies, went to the Oakwood Center along with 2 X-rated strip clubs, tapped some ass, had tits in my face, and watched the Olympics. Overall, I had a pretty good and swell time. My brother, however, didn't seem to feel the same since he only went to about half the places I did. While I was down there, I registered at Roosevelt University, and which is where I am now, as I just finished my first semester. One thing I did was travel around different parts of town here in Chicago with the U-Pass I had obtained in order to pass the time. In November and December, I went to 2 casinos. The first one, Blue Chip, I kinda missed out on because my mother basically rushed me out the house and I had left my ID because the day before I had gone to vote, sat my ID on the desk, and had completely forgotten about it. But it was also her fault because she should have told me this shit beforehand about, when to get up, when the coach was gonna leave. She should have told me that shit beforehand. However, the second casino trip to Four Winds in Michigan was much better. I went and gambled with a guy named Charlie, ate lunch with him, and overall had a good time. Granted, I didn't win that much, only $9.50, but otherwise it wasn't bad. Oh, and there's this guy I'm friends with named Parquet who I went on several outings with since he wanted to do it so bad. The top of all of 2012, I earned a big bundle of money for Christmas. So yeah, this is a major turnaround for me in that department because my last few Christmases have been total shit. With that money, I'm going to buy a ton of junk. No doubt about that. Now, of course, there are the entertainment and world events. We can't forget the numerous celebrity deaths, one of them being Soul Train host Don Cornelius. On February the 8th, a week after he took his own life from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, I actually attended Cornelius' memorial at the Museum of Broadcast Communications in downtown Chicago for the main purpose of paying my last respects to the man. At the end, I met former WGN TV and radio broadcaster Mary D, and if you don't live in Chicago, you don't know who I'm talking about. I also met some lady named Teresa Griffin, who is a singer and actress who recently got married, and though I had never heard of her before then, her performance and voice were both very beautiful. I took pictures with both personalities and also checked out the TV tree among other things while in the lobby, as well as chat with a couple other people. But just 3 days later, I'm finding out on Facebook that Whitney Houston had died. That was really shocking and unexpected. Originally, I had thought it was a hoax, but alas, it wasn't. I recorded the funeral for my mother since she was Whitney's biggest idol. Don't forget all the other deaths. Sherman Hemsley, Dick Clark, Donna Summer, Michael Clark Duncan, Mike Wallace, Andy Griffith, the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, Larry Hagman from Dallas, Phyllis Diller, which hers is rather odd because I had looked Diller up on Wikipedia just days before she had died when I was down in New Orleans, and among many others. In addition, there was also the Venus Transit, which happened back on June the 5th. You know, that once-in-a-lifetime event. Well, I knew about it, but I didn't really, get across to being able to see it because the telescope that my grandma bought me when I was a kid, damn near 20 years ago, I don't think even works, or it's in the closet. I don't know if it works. I don't think it does. And I tried to use some advice from Steve Baskerville from the Channel 2 News, like he said to align 2 boards or something like that, but to no avail. And there was hundreds of people at the Adler Planetarium or wherever planetarium it was downtown, and I could not make it there, but that wasn't my fault because I didn't have no means of travel anyway. Oh, and don't forget Hurricane Sandy and the dumb shit that happened in both Colorado and Newtown, Connecticut. I have a ton of sympathy for the victims in both cases. Also, I've developed personal fads and interests myself. The first 48, which I've pretty much watched to death by now, and I'm still trying to catch up on it. Magic's Beats, a musician from Connecticut. Ethiopian culture, getting around Chicago via the L train system along with said system itself, and more. In conclusion, 2012 was not a bad year for me. Granted, it wasn't phenomenal or anything like that, but it was still pretty good. Well, correction, It was borderline phenomenal as I graduated junior college and went down to New Orleans and all that. But the best part would have to be the end of the world rumors on December 21st being nothing but false rumors and total bullshit, as absolutely nothing happened. Unlike 2011, 2012 I will miss about 85 to 90%. If I left out anything major that's happened in 2012, please just drop me a line in the comments section below. And that's about it. I'm Taurus Wrangler, and until we meet again, good day, people, and have a happy 2013.